In the heart of the world's largest landmass lies a realm where extremes define existence, where temperatures plunge to depths, yet soar to heights that rival temperate summers. Here, across an expanse larger than the entire continent of Europe, nature orchestrates the planet's most dramatic seasonal symphony. From the bone-crushing grip of winter's eternal night to the explosive fertility of summer's endless day, each season brings a complete transformation that challenges every living being to adapt or perish. The Arctic wind howls across vast taiga forests, where ancient spruce and larch trees stand sentinel against temperatures that can drop to -60 degrees Celsius. Yet when the midnight sun bathes these same forests in golden light for months on end, they burst into a frenzy of life that rivals any tropical paradise. This is where the Siberian tiger stalks through snow, deeper than a human is tall, where brown bears emerge from hibernation into a world painted entirely white, and where caribou traverse distances that span continents in their eternal quest for survival. Here, polar bears rule kingdoms of ice while Arctic foxes dance across frozen tundra, their coats shifting color like living snow. From the moment the first blizzard announces winter's arrival to the final leaf that falls in autumn's embrace, Siberia pulses with the rhythm of seasons so extreme they seem to belong to an alien world. Yet within this harsh theater of survival, some of Earth's most magnificent creatures have not merely survived, but thrived, evolving strategies so remarkable they defy imagination. Welcome to Siberia, where each season brings not just weather, but a complete reshaping of the world itself. In this land where civilization retreats before nature's raw power, predators and prey engage in contests that have remained unchanged for millennia. Here, the Siberian tiger, the largest cat on Earth, commands territories larger than entire nations, while packs of wolves coordinate hunts across distances that would exhaust modern vehicles. The very landscape becomes a character in these dramas of survival. Rivers freeze solid enough to support the weight of elephants, yet rush with torrential force when summer's heat unleashes their fury. Mountains pierce the sky like frozen daggers, their peaks disappearing into clouds that carry the moisture of distant oceans. Forests stretch beyond horizons, an unbroken carpet of conifers that has stood since the last ice age, their branches heavy with snow for half the year, and alive with birdsong during the brief but intense growing season. These are not merely trees, but living fortresses that shelter countless species through Siberia's endless winter nights. The tundra spreads like an ocean of grass and wildflowers during summer, yet transforms into a crystalline desert when winter claims dominion. Here, permafrost lies just beneath the surface, a foundation of ice that has remained frozen for thousands of years, shaping every aspect of life above. Siberia encompasses multiple ecosystems, from the vast boreal forests of the taiga to the treeless expanse of the Arctic tundra, from mountain ranges that scrape the sky to river systems that drain into 3 different oceans. Each region presents its own challenges and opportunities, creating a mosaic of habitats where specialized creatures have evolved to exploit every possible niche. The climate here doesn't change gradually, but shifts with the violence of a geological event. Spring arrives not as a gentle warming, but as an explosion of melting snow and ice that transforms the landscape overnight. Summer burns with intensity that seems impossible in a land associated with eternal cold. Autumn doesn't fade, but crashes upon the land with storms that herald winter's imminent return. When winter descends upon Siberia, It arrives not as a season, but as a conquering force. The sun retreats below the horizon for months, leaving behind a world painted in shades of blue and silver, where the aurora borealis dances across skies so clear they seem carved from crystal. Temperatures plummet to levels that would instantly freeze exposed flesh, and the wind carries a bite that penetrates to the bone. This is the season when only the most perfectly adapted can survive. The landscape transforms into something alien, where trees crack like gunshots in the cold and rivers become highways of ice thick enough to support freight trains. Snow accumulates in drifts that reach the second stories of buildings, and the silence becomes so complete it rings in the ears like a bell. Yet within this apparent wasteland, life not only persists but sometimes thrives. Creatures here have evolved strategies so remarkable they seem to bend the laws of physics. Some grow coats so dense they create their own microclimate, while others enter states of suspended animation that would be death for any other living thing. The very air becomes different in Siberian winter. So cold and dry it burns the lungs and creates ice crystals that float like suspended diamonds. Breathing itself becomes a visible act as moisture freezes instantly into clouds of vapor that hang in the still air like ghosts of warmth. In this realm of ice and snow, 4 magnificent creatures have risen to become masters of winter survival. Each employing strategies so different, yet so perfect, they represent the ultimate expression of adaptation to extreme cold. A shadow moves through the snow-laden forest, so silent that not even the crisp snow beneath massive paws betrays its presence. The Siberian tiger, the largest cat walking the earth, pauses at the edge of a clearing where moonlight transforms the snow into a field of scattered diamonds. Steam rises from her nostrils in small puffs as she surveys her domain, amber eyes scanning for any movement that might betray the presence of prey. This magnificent predator weighs over 600 pounds, her body stretched nearly 4 meters from nose to tail tip. Yet despite her enormous size, she moves through the winter forest with the grace of a dancer, each step calculated and precise. Her coat, a masterpiece of natural engineering, consists of dense underfur beneath guard hairs that can reach 7 centimeters in length, creating insulation so effective she remains comfortable in temperatures that would kill most mammals within minutes. The tiger's hunting territory spans up to 350 square miles, an area larger than many major cities. Centimeters across, act as natural snowshoes, distributing her weight so efficiently she can walk across snow that would trap smaller predators. Tonight, her keen senses detect the subtle signs that prey is near. Wild boar have been foraging in this area, their rooting activities leaving telltale disturbances in the snow. The tiger's hearing, 6 times more sensitive than a human's, picks up the faint crunch of footsteps nearly a mile away. She begins her approach, a master predator employing tactics refined over millions of years of evolution. Moving from cover to cover, the tiger demonstrates patience that would impress a monk. She may spend hours positioning herself for a single perfect opportunity. Her stripes, which seem so obvious in captivity, provide perfect camouflage among the shadows and vertical lines of the forest. When she finally springs into action, her attack covers 15 meters in a single bound, her powerful hindquarters propelling her forward with explosive force. The hunt is over in seconds, but it represents the culmination of adaptations that have made the Siberian tiger one of the most successful predators on Earth. A single kill can sustain her for over a week. her efficient metabolism allowing her to survive on sporadic meals that would starve other carnivores. She drags her prey to a secluded location, where snow will help preserve the meat, creating a natural refrigerator that keeps her food fresh for days. As winter deepens and prey becomes even more scarce, the tiger's remarkable adaptability becomes most apparent. She can fast for weeks if necessary, her body metabolizing fat reserves with ruthless efficiency. Yet when hunting opportunities arise, she can consume up to 40 pounds of meat in a single feeding, storing energy against future lean times. With the Siberian tiger demonstrating the apex of predatory adaptation to winter conditions, the forest ecosystem maintains a delicate balance that allows other large mammals to thrive in their own specialized niches. Among these survivors, few are as perfectly suited to Siberian winter as the massive herbivore that shares these same forests. Deep within a den carved into a hillside beneath the roots of ancient larches, a brown bear stirs in her winter sleep. Her breathing is so slow and shallow, it barely disturbs the thick layer of fat that will sustain her through the months-long fast ahead. Outside, the temperature has dropped to -40 degrees Celsius, but within her carefully prepared sanctuary, her body heat maintains a temperature warm enough for survival. This female brown bear, weighing nearly 800 pounds before entering hibernation, represents one of nature's most remarkable achievements in winter survival. Unlike many other mammals that merely sleep through winter, bears enter a state of torpor so profound their heart rate drops from 40 beats per minute to just 8, while their body temperature decreases only slightly, maintaining the delicate balance necessary to keep vital organs functioning. Her preparation for this winter fast began months ago, as summer's abundance allowed her to consume up to 30,000 calories per day. Fish, berries, roots, and small mammals all contributed to the massive fat reserves that now comprise nearly half her body weight. This stored energy will be slowly metabolized throughout winter, providing not just sustenance, but also the water her body needs, as fat metabolism produces both calories and moisture. The den itself is an architectural marvel, dug into a slope that provides both drainage and insulation. She lined it with grasses, leaves, and her own shed fur, creating a microenvironment that will remain relatively stable regardless of the extremes outside. Snow will soon cover the entrance, creating an additional layer of insulation that turns the den into a natural igloo. Her cubs, born during the deepest part of winter, enter the world blind, hairless, and weighing less than a pound each. Yet their mother's milk, enriched with fat concentrations that would be toxic to most mammals, provides everything they need to grow rapidly in the safety of the den. By the time spring arrives, they will have increased their birth weight tenfold, ready to emerge into a world that has been completely transformed. The timing of emergence is critical, and depends not on calendar dates, but on environmental cues that signal winter's end. Rising temperatures, changing day length, and subtle shifts in snow conditions all contribute to the bear's internal clock that will eventually wake her from her winter sleep. This emergence often coincides perfectly with the first stirrings of spring activity among prey species, positioning her to take advantage of renewed hunting opportunities. As the brown bear continues her remarkable winter journey in the safety of her den, the external world remains locked in ice and snow. Yet even in this frozen landscape, creatures continue to move and hunt, including Arctic specialists, whose white coats make them nearly invisible against the snow. Against the pristine white of fresh snow, an Arctic fox appears as little more than a shadow with eyes. Her winter coat so perfectly white it seems to absorb and reflect light simultaneously. She weighs barely 9 pounds, yet this diminutive predator thrives in conditions that would quickly claim larger animals, her compact body representing the ultimate expression of cold weather adaptation. Her transformation from summer brown to winter white represents one of nature's most remarkable seasonal changes. This metamorphosis involves not just color but density, as her winter coat becomes nearly 3 times thicker than her summer fur, creating insulation so effective she remains comfortable in temperatures approaching -50 degrees Celsius. Even her paws are heavily furred, providing both traction on ice and protection from the cold that would otherwise cause immediate frostbite. The fox's hunting strategy in winter relies on a combination of exceptional hearing and explosive athletic ability. Beneath the snow, lemmings and voles continue their activities in a hidden world of tunnels and chambers. their movements creating subtle vibrations that the fox's ears can detect from remarkable distances. She cocks her head, triangulating the exact position of prey moving beneath nearly a meter of snow, then launches herself into a characteristic pounce that drives her entire body deep into the drift. Her compact ears, short muzzle, and small extremities all follow Bergman's rule, minimizing surface area exposed to the cold while maximizing her ability to retain body heat. Her bushy tail serves as both a wraparound blanket when she sleeps and a counterbalance during her acrobatic hunting maneuvers. When temperatures become extreme, she can curl into a tight ball with her tail covering her face, creating a micro-environment that can be 20 degrees warmer than the ambient air. The Arctic fox's diet in winter becomes remarkably diverse, demonstrating the opportunistic feeding that allows small predators to survive in harsh environments. While small mammals form the bulk of her winter diet, she also scavenges from the kills of larger predators, caches food during periods of abundance, and even feeds on sea ice, following polar bears to exploit marine resources. Her denning behavior changes dramatically with the seasons. Summer dens are complex burrow systems that may be used by generations of foxes, but winter shelters are temporary affairs, often nothing more than a depression in the snow sheltered by overhanging rocks or vegetation. She may move several times during winter, following prey populations and avoiding areas where deeper snow makes hunting impossible. The fox's reproductive cycle is perfectly timed to take advantage of spring's abundance, but winter mating displays begin even during the harshest months. Pairs engage in elaborate courtship rituals that include synchronized hunting and play behaviors that help strengthen bonds essential for successful reproduction. These partnerships often last for life, with mates sharing territory and cooperating in both hunting and kit rearing. While the Arctic fox demonstrates mastery of terrestrial winter hunting, Siberia's extensive river systems and coastal areas support predators who have specialized in exploiting aquatic resources even when water bodies are locked beneath meters of ice. At the edge of the sea ice, where frozen ocean meets the endless white of the Arctic tundra, a polar bear mother emerges from her maternity den with two small cubs at her side. The cubs, born during the darkest months of winter, take their first tentative steps into a world of blinding white where temperatures hover at -30 degrees Celsius and the wind carries the sharp scent of salt and ice. This magnificent female weighs over 1,000 pounds, making her one of the largest terrestrial carnivores on Earth. Her size, which might seem disadvantageous in harsh conditions, actually provides crucial advantages in this ice-locked environment. Her massive bulk stores enormous reserves of fat accumulated during the previous hunting season, reserves that have sustained her through pregnancy, birth, and the early weeks of nursing without a single meal. Her fur appears pristine white, but each individual hair is actually hollow and transparent, creating a complex optical system that not only provides camouflage, but also channels ultraviolet light down to her black skin, where it is converted to heat. This natural solar collection system allows her to absorb warmth even from the weak winter sun, while her dense undercoat traps warm air in countless tiny pockets that create insulation comparable to the best synthetic materials. The cubs, weighing just over 45 pounds each, stay close to their mother as she begins the journey to the sea ice edge, where ringed seals maintain breathing holes. This journey may cover hundreds of miles across shifting ice that cracks and moves with the tides, requiring the mother to constantly assess ice conditions and choose the safest routes for her vulnerable offspring. Her massive paws, measuring over 30 centimeters across, are equipped with sharp claws that provide traction on ice and powerful gripping ability when she needs to haul herself from water onto ice floes. The paws also function as paddles when she swims, their webbed toes making her surprisingly graceful in water despite her enormous size. She can swim continuously for hours, maintaining speeds that would challenge human Olympic swimmers. The hunt for seals requires patience that can only be described as superhuman. At a breathing hole, she may wait motionless for 6 hours or more, positioned precisely to strike when a seal surfaces for air. Her attack must be perfectly timed and executed, as the seal will be visible for only seconds before diving back to safety. When she strikes, her massive claws and powerful jaws ensure that few seals escape, providing a meal that may sustain the family for days. Her hunting success is critical, not just for her own survival, but for the cubs who depend entirely on her rich milk for their first year of life. This milk contains fat concentrations approaching 40%, providing the rapid growth necessary for cubs to develop the insulation and size they will need to survive their first winter as independent bears. As the polar bear family begins their hunting season on the vast expanse of sea ice, the approach of spring brings subtle changes that will soon transform the entire Arctic landscape. The sun climbs higher each day, and the first hints of warmth begin to stir life in the frozen world. Spring arrives in Siberia not with gentle warmth, but with the violence of a revolution. The first signs appear as subtle shifts in light, the sun climbing higher each day until it barely sets at all. Then comes the great melting, a thunderous transformation that reshapes the entire landscape in a matter of weeks. Rivers that have been solid highways of ice for months suddenly explode into torrential floods that carry away everything in their path. The snow, which has accumulated to depths of several meters, begins its retreat not gradually, but in dramatic collapses and sudden reveals. Waterfalls emerge from mountainsides where none existed weeks before, and the ground itself seems to exhale as frozen soil releases months of accumulated moisture into the warming air. This is the season of birth and renewal, when Siberia sheds its white shroud to reveal landscapes of extraordinary beauty. Forests that appeared lifeless suddenly burst with new growth, their branches heavy with fresh needles that catch the endless daylight and transform it into explosive growth. Meadows emerge from beneath the snow, already carpeted with early wildflowers that have been preparing for this moment since the previous autumn. The sound of Siberian spring is unlike anything else on Earth. The constant drip and rush of melting snow creates a symphony that echoes through valleys and forests, while the cracking and groaning of breaking ice provides a percussive backdrop that can be heard for miles. Birds return in waves, their songs creating acoustic layers that build from tentative solo performances to full orchestral celebrations of renewed life. For the animals that have survived winter's trial, spring represents both opportunity and challenge. Food sources that have been scarce or buried beneath snow suddenly become abundant. But the same melting that reveals this bounty also destroys familiar travel routes and shelter sites. Mating seasons coincide with this abundance, creating competitions and displays that showcase the remarkable diversity of Siberian wildlife. In this season of dramatic transformation, 4 species demonstrate the various strategies life has evolved to exploit spring's brief but intense opportunities. Across the thawing tundra, a vast herd of reindeer moves like a living river of brown and white, their antlers creating a forest of bone that sways with their collective movement. Over 50,000 animals stretch across the landscape as far as the eye can see, following migration routes encoded in their DNA and carved into the land by countless generations before them. The lead animals, their breath visible in the still cool air, step carefully across ground that alternates between solid permafrost and treacherous mud, where the surface has begun to thaw. Behind them, the main body of the herd creates a sound like distant thunder, the clicking of their specialized hooves mixing with low grunts and the occasional sharp call of a mother to her calf. This spring migration represents one of the greatest movements of large mammals remaining on Earth. The herd will travel over 2,000 miles from their wintering grounds in the shelter of the taiga to the Arctic coastal plains, where summer's explosion of plant growth will provide the rich feeding they need to rebuild their strength and nurse their young. Each reindeer carries the winter's toll in their lean bodies, their fat reserves depleted by months of survival on limited forage and bitter cold. Yet their remarkable physiology allows them to begin gaining condition almost immediately as spring vegetation becomes available. Their four-chambered stomachs can digest plant matter with extraordinary efficiency, extracting nutrients from vegetation that would be inedible to most other mammals. The timing of their migration coincides perfectly with the brief Arctic growing season. As they move north, they follow the advancing spring, always staying just behind the retreating snowline, where the first tender shoots of grass and sedge emerge from the warming soil. This natural timing ensures they arrive at their calving grounds, just as conditions become optimal for the birth and early care of their young. Calving occurs during the journey itself, a process that demonstrates the remarkable hardiness of these Arctic specialists. Calves are born with their eyes open and able to walk within hours, an adaptation essential for animals that must keep moving to stay with the herd's protection. Within days, they can run fast enough to escape most predators, their long legs carrying them across terrain that would challenge adult animals of other species. The social structure of the herd becomes most apparent during migration, as family groups maintain their cohesion within the larger mass movement. Females with calves travel together in protected areas of the herd, while males form bachelor groups at the periphery, where they serve as early warning systems against predators and scouts for the best routes ahead. Their specialized hooves, which spread wide on soft ground and provide sharp edges for traction on ice, make them uniquely suited to travel across the diverse terrain of their migration route. These same hooves serve as efficient digging tools, allowing them to reach buried vegetation even when snow persists in sheltered areas. As the reindeer herd demonstrates the power of collective migration, other inhabitants of the awakening landscape pursue individual strategies for exploiting spring's opportunities. Among these, few are as perfectly adapted to the seasonal transformation as the brown bear emerging from her winter den. Through the forest of newly budding larches, a wolverine moves with the purposeful gait of a predator who fears nothing in his domain. Weighing barely 45 pounds, he possesses strength and ferocity that allows him to dominate creatures many times his size, earning him a reputation as the most fearless mammal in the northern wilderness. His dark brown fur, frosted with lighter guard hairs that repel ice and snow, ripples over muscles that seem disproportionately large for his compact frame. Each step reveals the powerful build that allows him to break through snow crusts that would stop larger animals, his wide paws distributing his weight efficiently, while sharp claws provide traction on any surface. The wolverine's spring territory encompasses over 200 miles, an area he patrols with relentless determination, investigating every scent and sound that might indicate food, competitors, or potential mates. His remarkable endurance allows him to travel 30 miles in a single day across terrain that would challenge vehicles, following a mental map of his territory so detailed, it includes every cached food source and potential den site. Spring's abundance means opportunity for this opportunistic predator, whose diet includes everything from small rodents to animals as large as moose. His powerful jaws, capable of crushing bones that would break the teeth of other carnivores, allow him to fully utilize carcasses that other scavengers must abandon. This efficiency is crucial in an environment where any waste of protein could mean the difference between survival and starvation. Wolverines often exploit roads, pipelines, and other infrastructure as travel corridors, demonstrating the intelligence and adaptability that has allowed them to persist while other large predators have declined. The wolverine's fearless nature and incredible endurance represent one extreme of predatory adaptation, but Spring's awakening also supports species that employ entirely different strategies. Among these aerial hunters, few match the spectacular hunting displays of the golden eagle, soaring high above the taiga. High above the awakening landscape, thermal currents carry a golden eagle in effortless spirals that cover miles with barely a wing beat. Her keen eyes, 8 times more powerful than human vision, scan the vast expanse below where Spring's transformation creates constant movement and opportunity for the supreme aerial predator of the northern wilderness. With wings spanning over 2 meters, she rides the invisible columns of warm air, rising from sun-heated slopes and clearings, gaining altitude that will allow her to spot prey from distances that seem impossible. Her flight feathers, each one precisely positioned by muscles capable of micro-adjustments, create a wing configuration so efficient she can remain aloft for hours while expending minimal energy. The eagle's hunting territory encompasses over 40 square miles, an aerial domain she patrols with systematic precision. Spring's melting snow reveals prey that has been hidden for months, while the increased activity of emerging animals creates movement patterns her evolutionary programming recognizes as hunting opportunities. From her aerial vantage point, she can simultaneously monitor several potential hunting areas, choosing her attacks with tactical precision. Her remarkable eyesight allows her to detect the slightest movement from altitudes approaching a mile. The flick of a ground squirrel's tail, barely visible to ground-based observers, appears to her as clearly as if she were perched meters away. This visual acuity, combined with her ability to process visual information at speeds that would overwhelm human consciousness, makes her perhaps the most efficient visual hunter on Earth. When prey is spotted, her hunting stoop becomes one of nature's most spectacular displays of controlled violence. Folding her wings into a configuration that creates the aerodynamic efficiency of a bullet, she accelerates toward Earth at speeds exceeding 100 miles per hour. Her powerful talons, capable of exerting pressure approaching 500 pounds per square inch, ensure that few prey animals survive her initial strike. The timing of her breeding season coincides perfectly with Spring's abundance, as her massive stick nest. As Spring's abundance reaches its peak, and the midnight sun of early summer begins its reign over Siberia, the golden eagle's success in exploiting aerial hunting opportunities demonstrates how specialized predators can thrive in seemingly harsh environments by mastering specific ecological niches. Summer in Siberia explodes across the landscape with intensity that seems to compensate for the brevity of the growing season. Under the midnight sun, where daylight stretches for months without interruption, the taiga undergoes a transformation so complete it rivals any tropical paradise. Trees that stood bare and frozen just weeks ago now burst with new growth, their branches heavy with needles that glisten in the endless golden light. The permafrost retreats just enough to allow spectacular wildflower displays that carpet entire valleys in colors so vibrant they seem artificial. Purple fireweed, yellow Arctic poppies, and white mountain avens create natural gardens that stretch to the horizon, their blooms following the sun in its endless circuit around the sky. The air itself becomes thick with the perfume of flowers and the fresh scent of new growth. Rivers run full and wild with snowmelt from mountain peaks, creating cascades and rapids that fill the air with constant music. These waterways teem with life as fish species that have waded through winter's darkness surge upstream in massive spawning runs that attract predators from across the region. Insects emerge in clouds so dense they can be seen from aircraft, providing a protein bonanza that supports countless bird species. This is the season when Siberia's wildlife races against time to breed, feed, and prepare for winter's inevitable return. The urgency is palpable, as species that may live for decades must compress their most vital activities into just a few months of favorable conditions. Mating displays reach spectacular intensity, territorial disputes become life-or-death struggles, and the successful raising of young becomes the paramount concern for every species. The landscape itself seems alive with movement as animals that have been dormant or hidden throughout winter emerge to claim their share of summer's bounty. Migration routes become highways of life as species follow food sources and breeding opportunities across vast distances, creating wildlife spectacles that rank among Earth's greatest natural phenomena. In this season of explosive growth and frantic activity, 4 remarkable species showcase the diverse strategies evolution has developed to exploit summer's brief but intense abundance. In a marshy clearing surrounded by young birches, a bull moose stands knee-deep in water dark with tannins, his massive antlers, still covered in velvet, casting complex shadows on the surface. He weighs nearly 1,500 pounds, making him the largest member of the deer family and one of the most impressive herbivores in the Northern Hemisphere. Each measured step sends ripples across the water as he feeds on aquatic vegetation that provides essential nutrients unavailable in terrestrial plants. His summer transformation from the lean creature that survived winter is remarkable. The rich protein sources available in summer, from tender willow shoots to sodium-rich aquatic plants, fuel rapid muscle development that prepares him for autumn's brutal mating battles. His antlers alone, which will span nearly 2 meters when fully developed, represent a massive investment of calcium and energy that demonstrates his superior condition and genetic fitness. The moose's feeding strategy during summer takes advantage of his unique anatomy and size. His long legs allow him to wade into water depths impossible for other ungulates, while his prehensile upper lip functions almost like a hand, stripping leaves and shoots with remarkable efficiency. He can remain submerged for up to a minute while feeding on bottom vegetation, his specialized nostrils closing completely to prevent water entry. His massive size provides advantages beyond reaching high browse and deep water feeding. Predators that might successfully attack smaller deer must think carefully before challenging an animal capable of delivering kicks that can shatter bones or antler strikes that can kill a wolf instantly. Even during summer's abundance, when predators have many easier options, most give the bull moose a respectful distance. The bull's territorial behavior intensifies as summer progresses toward autumn, when his testosterone levels will drive him into the breeding frenzy known as the rut. Already he marks his presence by rubbing small trees with scent glands located near his eyes, leaving both chemical and visual signals that communicate his presence to potential rivals and mates throughout his range. His relationship with the forest ecosystem extends beyond simple herbivory. His massive size and feeding habits create disturbances that benefit other species, opening clearings where light-loving plants can establish and providing trampled areas that become mineral licks for smaller animals. His presence shapes the very structure of the forest, creating a mosaic of habitats that support remarkable biodiversity. Summer's peak activity includes dramatic interactions with humans who share this landscape. Unlike many large mammals that flee human presence, moose often display curiosity and aggression that can create dangerous encounters. His lack of fear, combined with his enormous size and surprising speed, makes him one of the most potentially dangerous animals in the northern wilderness. As the bull moose demonstrates the advantages of size and strength in exploiting summer resources, smaller predators employ entirely different strategies to capture their share of the season's abundance. Among these, few are as perfectly adapted to life in the dense vegetation of summer as the lynx stalking through the undergrowth. Through the dense understory of summer growth, a lynx moves like liquid shadow, her spotted coat providing perfect camouflage among the dappled sunlight filtering through layers of leaves. She weighs barely 45 pounds, yet her presence transforms the entire forest dynamic, as prey species alter their behavior in response to signals their evolution has taught them to fear above all others. Her oversized paws, equipped with retractable claws and furred pads that provide silent movement across any terrain, carry her through vegetation so thick it would stop larger predators. Each step demonstrates the precision that comes from millions of years of evolution as a specialized forest hunter. Her movements calculated to avoid even the slightest disturbance of leaves or branches that might alert potential prey. The lynx's extraordinary hearing, capable of detecting the movement of small mammals from distances approaching 100 meters, makes her perhaps the most efficient small game hunter in the northern forests. Her distinctive ear tufts, far from being merely decorative, function as acoustic enhancers that improve her directional hearing to levels that seem almost supernatural. Summer's dense vegetation provides ideal hunting conditions for an ambush predator whose strategy depends on approaching prey within striking distance before launching an attack. Her powerful hindquarters, disproportionately large compared to her overall size, can propel her forward in leaps approaching 4 meters, allowing her to close distance so quickly that prey has virtually no time to react. Her hunting focus during summer centers on the snowshoe hare population, whose numbers fluctuate in 10-year cycles that directly influence lynx reproduction and survival. When hare populations peak, as they do during favorable summers, a single lynx can make kills almost daily, allowing her to raise larger litters and achieve optimal body condition for winter survival. The intricate predator-prey relationship between lynx and snowshoe hares represents one of ecology's most studied examples of population dynamics. The hare's summer breeding produces multiple litters that can increase their numbers exponentially. But this abundance attracts not only lynx, but also other predators, creating complex interactions that demonstrate the interconnectedness of northern forest ecosystems. Her territory during summer may encompass 20 square miles of dense forest, an area she patrols with systematic thoroughness that ensures no potential hunting opportunity is missed. While the lynx perfects the art of terrestrial stealth hunting, Siberia's extensive river systems support predators whose fishing techniques rank among the most spectacular hunting displays in the natural world. Among these aquatic specialists, few command more respect than the brown bear fishing the salmon runs. At the edge of a rushing river swollen with snowmelt, a massive brown bear positions himself with the patience of a statue, his dark eyes focused on the clear water, where silver shapes flash beneath the surface. The annual salmon run has begun, transforming this remote stream into one of nature's greatest feeding opportunities, and this 1,700 pounds male is perfectly positioned to exploit the abundance. His fishing technique, refined through years of experience, combines explosive power with remarkable timing. Standing motionless in the current, he waits for the perfect moment when a salmon moves within striking range. Then his massive paw moves with lightning speed, hooking the fish with claws that function like grappling hooks. The entire motion, from detection to capture, takes less than a second. The bear's position at the waterfall represents more than just good fishing. His size and dominance have earned him the prime fishing spot, where exhausted salmon collecting before their final leap upstream become easy targets. Smaller bears wait downstream, content with fish that escape the dominant male's attention, or with the scraps he leaves behind, after consuming only the most nutritious parts of his catch. Summer's abundance allows bears to become remarkably selective in their feeding, consuming only the brain, skin, and eggs of salmon, while leaving the rest of the carcass for scavengers. This behavior, which might seem wasteful, actually demonstrates sophisticated nutritional knowledge, as these parts contain the highest concentrations of fat necessary for winter survival. A single large salmon contains enough calories to sustain him for an entire day. His fishing activities create ripple effects throughout the entire ecosystem. The discarded salmon carcasses provide food for everything from ravens to insects. while the nutrients these fish carry from the ocean into the freshwater system fertilize the entire watershed. Trees growing near salmon streams show growth rates significantly higher than those in areas without fish runs, demonstrating the interconnectedness of aquatic and terrestrial ecosystems. The bear's social dynamics during fishing season reveal the complex hierarchy that exists among these normally solitary animals. Dominant males like this one secure the best fishing positions through displays of size and aggression, while females with cubs often fish during different times to avoid potentially dangerous encounters with large males who might view cubs as threats to their genetic legacy. His remarkable fishing success during the brief salmon run allows him to gain massive amounts of weight in just a few weeks. During peak fishing, he may consume over 20 fish per day, accumulating fat reserves that will sustain him through winter hibernation and early spring emergence when other food sources remain unavailable. The bear's intelligence becomes apparent as he demonstrates learned behaviors passed down through generations of successful fishers. He knows exactly where to position himself for maximum efficiency, how to read water conditions that indicate fish movement, and when to change locations as the run progresses upstream. This knowledge represents cultural transmission rarely seen in solitary mammals. His fishing activities also demonstrate the importance of undisturbed watersheds for maintaining these spectacular natural phenomena. The salmon run depends on clean water, unobstructed migration routes, and precise timing that has evolved over thousands of years. Human interference with any aspect of this system can disrupt the entire cycle that supports not just bears, but entire communities of wildlife. As the brown bear demonstrates mastery of aquatic hunting, the autumn arrives in Siberia with the sudden drama of a curtain falling on summer's bright stage. The midnight sun finally dips below the horizon for the first time in months, and darkness returns with the inevitability of fate. Temperatures plummet in daily swings that can span 40 degrees Celsius, while the first snow begins dusting mountain peaks that have stood bare since spring's violent melting. This is the season of desperate preparation, when every species faces the ultimate biological imperative to survive winter's approaching siege. The urgency is palpable as animals race against time to accumulate fat reserves, complete migrations, and secure territories that will determine their survival through the months of darkness ahead. The landscape transforms with breathtaking speed as deciduous trees explode in colors that seem too intense for the northern latitudes. Golden aspens and brilliant red mountain ash create natural fireworks against the evergreen backdrop of spruce and fir, while the tundra becomes a carpet of crimson and gold as ground cover plants prepare for dormancy. Massive wildlife movements begin as species that have spent summer dispersed across vast territories converge on traditional wintering areas or begin migrations that will carry them thousands of miles to more favorable climates. These movements create wildlife spectacles that rank among Earth's greatest natural phenomena, as millions of animals follow routes encoded in their DNA across landscapes that challenge human endurance. The sound of autumn in Siberia carries notes of both celebration and desperation. The bugling of rutting elk echoes across valleys where their voices haven't been heard since the previous year, while the honking of migrating waterfowl fills skies darkened by flocks so large they can be tracked by weather radar. Beneath these obvious sounds, the forest itself rustles with the activity of countless smaller creatures gathering seeds, nuts, and other foods that will sustain them through winter's lean months. For predators, autumn represents the final opportunity to build energy reserves before winter reduces prey availability to critically low levels. Hunting becomes more intense and competitive as carnivores face the biological reality that failure to achieve optimal body condition now may mean death before spring's return. In this season of dramatic change and mounting urgency, 4 remarkable species demonstrate the diverse strategies evolution has developed to prepare for Siberia's most challenging season. In a meadow painted gold by autumn's touch, a magnificent red deer stag throws back his head and releases a bugling call that echoes across the valley like a trumpet of war. His antlers, polished smooth by weeks of preparation, span nearly a meter and weigh over 20 pounds, representing a massive investment of energy that demonstrates his superior genetics and physical condition. This is the peak of the rutting season, when stags like this 400-pound male abandon feeding almost entirely in favor of defending territories and competing for access to females. His thick neck, swollen with muscle and fat accumulated during summer's abundance, provides the power necessary for the violent clashes that will determine breeding success and genetic legacy. His magnificent antlers, grown fresh each year and shed after the rut, serve as both weapons and advertisements of his fitness. The complex branching pattern, with its multiple tines and impressive spread, communicates to other males and potential mates that this stag possesses the genetic quality and nutritional access necessary to invest such enormous resources in what is essentially an ornament designed for combat. The stag's territory encompasses several square miles of prime habitat that he defends with escalating levels of aggression as the season progresses. His displays begin with vocalizations and posturing designed to intimidate potential challengers without resorting to physical combat. But as testosterone levels peak, these displays give way to battles that can result in serious injury or death. His bugling calls, audible from distances approaching 3 miles, serve multiple functions in the complex social dynamics of the rut. They announce his presence and quality to females who may be several valleys away, while simultaneously challenging other males to declare their own intentions. The frequency and duration of these calls provide information about the stag's size and condition that experienced animals can interpret with remarkable accuracy. When direct confrontation becomes unavoidable, the resulting battles showcase the raw power that lies beneath the red deer's graceful exterior. Stags approach each other with ritualized movements that allow assessment of relative strength before actual combat begins. If neither retreats, they engage in pushing matches that can last for hours, their antlers locked together as each animal attempts to drive his opponent backward and establish dominance. The stag's remarkable endurance during rutting season demonstrates the energy reserves accumulated during summer feeding. He may go weeks with minimal food intake, relying entirely on stored fat to fuel the constant activity of territory defense and mating. This metabolic strategy requires precise timing, as stags must enter the rut in peak condition while retaining enough reserves to survive until winter feeding becomes possible again. His success in attracting and defending females directly influences the genetic composition of future generations, making the autumn rut a critical evolutionary bottleneck that maintains the species' adaptation to harsh northern conditions. Only stags capable of surviving summer's challenges while building the energy reserves necessary for rutting success pass their genes to the next generation. The stag's interactions with his environment extend beyond simple reproduction, as his rutting activities create disturbances that benefit other species. His thrashing of vegetation while marking territory opens areas for new plant growth, while his wallowing behavior creates mud holes that serve as mineral sources for other animals throughout the year. As the red deer stag demonstrates the energy investment required for autumn reproduction, other species employ different strategies to prepare for winter's challenges. Among these survival specialists, few match the remarkable foraging efficiency of the wild boar rooting through the forest floor for autumn's buried treasures. Through the autumn forest carpet of fallen leaves, a wild boar sow moves with her family group, her powerful snout creating furrows in the rich soil as she searches for the buried treasures that will sustain her lineage through winter's approach. Her dark bristles, grown thick in preparation for cold weather, catch the slanted light filtering through trees heavy with autumn color. Weighing nearly 400 pounds, she represents the successful culmination of summer's feeding, her body converted into a living storehouse of fat and muscle that will carry her through winter's lean months. Her piglets, born in spring and now approaching adult size, follow her movements closely, learning the complex foraging techniques that will determine their survival as independent animals. Her remarkable sense of smell, hundreds of times more sensitive than human olfactory capabilities, allows her to detect buried acorns, nuts, and tubers from distances that seem impossible. Her mobile snout, equipped with specialized muscles and cartilage, functions as a precision excavation tool, capable of locating food sources buried beneath layers of soil and debris. The sow's foraging strategy during autumn focuses on high-energy foods that provide maximum nutritional return for energy invested. Acorns from oak trees, rich in carbohydrates and fats, form the cornerstone of her autumn diet, while hazelnuts, beechnuts, and various root crops provide variety and essential nutrients. Her ability to process these plant materials efficiently comes from a complex digestive system that extracts nutrients unavailable to simple-stomached animals. Her social behavior during autumn reflects the cooperative strategies that allow wild boar to exploit food resources more efficiently than solitary foragers. Family groups work together to uncover large caches of buried nuts, with different individuals specializing in detection, excavation, and processing. This cooperation extends to defense against predators, as group vigilance and coordinated responses provide protection that individual animals cannot achieve alone. At the edge of the Arctic tundra, where the first sea ice begins forming in the shallows, an Arctic fox demonstrates the remarkable transformation that has made her species one of the most successful predators in the polar regions. Her summer brown coat now shows patches of white as her winter pelage begins to emerge, creating a mottled appearance that provides perfect camouflage against the autumn landscape of snow patches and exposed ground. Her body weight has increased by nearly 50% since summer, as autumn feeding on migrating birds, cached eggs, and marine resources provides the fat reserves essential for winter survival. This energy storage represents a remarkable physiological achievement, as she must balance the competing demands of mobility for hunting against the insulation and energy reserves provided by increased body mass. The fox's remarkable hunting versatility becomes most apparent during autumn, as she exploits food sources ranging from terrestrial small mammals to marine resources exposed by falling tides. Her ability to switch between hunting strategies allows her to maintain nutrition even as individual prey species become scarce or migrate to more favorable areas. Her caching behavior during autumn reaches extraordinary intensity, as she may store thousands of eggs, small mammals, and birds in permafrost storage sites that will remain frozen throughout winter. These caches, scattered across her territory in locations marked by scent and visual cues, create a network of emergency food supplies that can mean the difference between survival and starvation during winter's leanest periods. The Arctic fox's social dynamics change dramatically during autumn, as the cooperative family groups of summer begin to disperse. Young foxes must establish their own territories or face the prospect of dispersal journeys that may carry them hundreds of miles across hostile terrain. These dispersal movements represent one of the most dangerous periods in Arctic fox life cycles, as inexperienced animals face predation, starvation, and territorial conflicts with established adults. Her remarkable hearing, capable of detecting the movement of small mammals beneath snow layers approaching 2 meters deep, prepares her for winter hunting strategies that seem almost supernatural. Her ability to pinpoint prey location through snow cover and execute diving attacks that carry her entire body beneath the surface demonstrates adaptations so specialized they appear magical to human observers. The fox's denning behavior during autumn involves preparation of winter shelters that may be simple snow forms or elaborate burrow systems, depending on local conditions. Her intelligence in site selection considers factors including wind protection, proximity to hunting areas, and escape routes from larger predators, demonstrating environmental awareness that goes far beyond simple instinct. Her interaction with larger predators during autumn often involves following polar bears and wolves to scavenge from their kills, a dangerous strategy that requires precise timing and understanding of predator behavior. These commensal relationships provide access to large carcasses that can sustain fox families for extended periods, but require sophisticated behavioral strategies to avoid becoming prey themselves. The Arctic fox's remarkable adaptability extends to her exploitation of human activities in Arctic regions, where she has learned to associate certain sounds and activities with food opportunities. Her intelligence allows her to discriminate between beneficial and dangerous human interactions, showing cognitive flexibility that has helped Arctic foxes persist in increasingly developed northern regions. Her preparation for winter involves not just physical changes, but behavioral adaptations that include modified sleep patterns, altered activity cycles, and changes in social tolerance that will influence survival success during the dark months ahead. These autumn preparations represent the culmination of evolutionary adaptations that have allowed Arctic foxes to thrive in Earth's most challenging environments. As the Arctic fox completes her autumn preparations and the first major snowfalls begin to blanket the northern landscape, the seasonal cycle that defines life in Siberia approaches completion. The brief abundance of summer and the frantic preparations of autumn give way to winter's return, bringing the eternal cycle full circle as nature prepares for another year of survival in one of Earth's most demanding environments. As the seasonal wheel turns full circle in Siberia's vast wilderness, a shadow falls across this pristine landscape that has nothing to do with the natural cycle of light and darkness. Human influence, once barely noticeable in this remote region, now reaches into every corner of the taiga and tundra, bringing changes that occur not over the comfortable timescales of evolution, but within the span of human lifetimes. The very climate that shapes Siberian wildlife faces unprecedented disruption as global warming advances at twice the global average in Arctic regions. Permafrost, the foundation that has remained frozen for millennia, now melts at accelerating rates, destabilizing entire ecosystems and releasing greenhouse gases that accelerate the warming process. Winter temperatures rise faster than summers, shortening the season that many species require for successful reproduction and energy conservation. Industrial development fragments the vast territories required by wide-ranging species like wolverines and Siberian tigers, while mining and logging operations destroy critical habitat faster than natural processes can restore it. The pollution from these activities affects not just local environments, but accumulates in the tissues of predators at the top of food webs, where toxins concentrate to levels that impair reproduction and survival. Perhaps most tragically, the traditional knowledge systems of indigenous peoples, refined over thousands of years of sustainable coexistence with Siberian wildlife, face erosion under pressure from modernization and cultural assimilation. These knowledge systems contain ecological wisdom about wildlife behavior, seasonal timing, and ecosystem relationships that scientific research is only beginning to understand and appreciate. Yet within this concerning trajectory lie remarkable stories of conservation success and growing environmental awareness. Protected areas now cover significant portions of Siberian wilderness, while international cooperation has helped stabilize populations of species like the Siberian tiger that once faced immediate extinction. Indigenous communities increasingly find their traditional knowledge valued and incorporated into modern conservation strategies, creating management approaches that combine ancient wisdom with contemporary science. The resilience demonstrated by Siberian wildlife throughout their evolutionary history provides hope that adaptation may be possible, even to human-caused environmental changes, though the speed of current alterations tests the limits of biological flexibility. The survival strategies these species have developed over millions of years of harsh environmental challenges may serve them well in an uncertain future, provided that human activities leave them sufficient habitat and resources to employ their remarkable adaptations. The story of Siberian wildlife ultimately reflects humanity's own relationship with the natural world. In this remote wilderness, we see both our capacity for destruction and our potential for stewardship, both the consequences of our industrial civilization and the possibilities that emerge when we choose to protect rather than exploit the remarkable biodiversity that shares our planet.